What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to this topical video here on Anfield Agenda. I'm going to be discussing Mohamed Salah coming back into the first team, Wataru Endo the exact same, and the headache that Jurgen Klopp now has to select between Joe Gomez and Andy Robertson, and Trent Alexander-Arnold and Conor Bradley. We also want to know your thoughts on these subjects, so do let us know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and most importantly, do not forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. We will be back live on Sunday for the watch along, the trip to the Emirates. We'll be starting from 3:30, and I hope you guys can join us for that. So look, Mohamed Salah, let's start off with him. So obviously it was a concern when we knew that Mo was going to the AFCON during a busy period of our season, and we were wondering what life would look like without Mo and how the boys would react. I think it's fair to say we've done pretty well. Now, I'm not sitting here for 1 second to say we're not a better team when Mohamed Salah is here. We are. But I think the question has to be asked, does he come back from his injury? Let's say he's ready to play against Burnley. Does he walk straight back into that starting 11? We asked this question in the live stream today and it was a little bit split. Some people feel like the players who've been doing well deserve to be rewarded with continuing to play, and maybe Mo should be introduced from the bench for a week or two anyway until we see how he is form-wise, and I think there's some sense to that. What it has done though for me when Mo's been away is given us an idea of what life may look like in the future if Mo's not around, and the good news is it's looking pretty positive. Look, we're always stronger with Mo in the team or with Mo in the squad, but we managed really, really well, between Diogo Jota stepping up and scoring some really important goals, Diaz on the right-hand side at times looking quite bright, and of course, Darwin Núñez, albeit not scoring as many as we'd like, still scored and assisted a few and put in some really, really good performances. So it looks bright in that regard. For me personally, if Mo was back fit and available, I probably would agree with the chat. I'd probably bring him in off the bench for the last 30 or so against Burnley, and then maybe look ahead to the next game after that, maybe from the start. But I do think it gives us the ability to go easy and bring Mo back in a little bit more patiently than perhaps we would have done in years gone by, where we would have just rushed them back in as quick as possible because, he's our talisman, he's our goal getter and our goal scorer. So let me know your thoughts on that one. For me, I'm very tempted to say put him straight back in because it's Mo, but ultimately I think there's something to keep in the shirt as well for the players that are playing well, which leads me into talking about the fullback situation coming up this weekend. So Jamie Carragher believes that Jurgen Klopp should probably keep with Conor Bradley, and I totally get where Jamie's coming from. Conor Bradley's been a revelation since he's played. The 15-minute cameo in the FA Cup against Arsenal, through to the other games he's played, Casino had 4 assists and a goal, and some really good solid performances, and he doesn't look like he's overawed by the occasion whatsoever. But like we said about Mo, Trent is a big part of this Liverpool team and a big part of our creative ability, and I don't know if Trent is going to be on the bench with Bradley at right back, or if Jurgen would look to play him in midfield a little bit. But my guess is, and it is just a guess, and you might have seen this when we did the preview, I'm expecting Joe Gomez to start at left back and Trent to start at right back against Arsenal. I don't know if that's right or wrong, and I don't know if anybody does know the correct answer to this, because I feel if Jurgen puts Trent right back in at right back in that hybrid role and we don't get the result, a lot of people will point to the fact that we didn't start with Bradley. But ultimately, I also feel like if we did start with Conor Bradley and we didn't get a positive result, I hope people don't then look to scapegoat him and say that he was one of the reasons why perhaps we didn't. So it is a tough decision for Jurgen, but for me, if I'm hedging my bets, I'm saying that he goes with Joe on the left-hand side and Trent on the right. Now, on the left-hand side, I'm also interested to know how you guys feel about the situation with what you get pros and cons from Joe Gomez versus what you get pros and cons from Robbo. So, for instance, for me, I feel like we're a lot more solid defensively with Joe Gomez at left back, but I think we do lack a little bit in attack with Joe Gomez at left back. Probably a bit of an obvious thing to say, and maybe you feel differently, but from my recollection of having Joe at left back, I've seen a lot of overlapping runs not happen by the fullback, but more from the likes of Curtis Jones or Darwin Núñez or whoever's playing on the left-hand side of attack. Whereas when we've got Andy Robertson, usually those forwards are cutting inside and there's the overlapping run coming around the outside from Robbo, who has, of course, naturally got a left foot to put a cross in. So again, pros and cons. And that, to me, is the closest contest. Joe has done remarkably well over this season and obviously in years gone by, but particularly this season when we've needed his versatility, whether he's had to fill in at centre back, at right back or at left back, he's never missed a beat. So I feel like it would be really, really harsh to drop him. And also Robertson was out for a far longer period of time than Trent Alexander-Arnold, so it makes sense to reintroduce Andy Robertson a bit more slowly. But another headache I feel Jurgen Klopp has, and the final one for you guys to give me your thoughts on, is what happens when Watoro comes back from the Asia Cup. Do we expect him to immediately walk back into the defensive midfield role, or is that position going to be Alexis McAllister's? Before Endo departed, I would have said 100% it was his position to come back to because he was in really good form and really started to look like he'd got to grips with the Premier League and with Jurgen Klopp's system. But weirdly, while he's been away, I've actually felt Alexis has stepped on and shown that he's also very press resistant. He also understands the role a bit better now than he did when he was initially put in it. And I feel like it's a good headache, but a headache nonetheless for which one of the two gets the spot in midfield for the big games, because I'd imagine they're going to be rotated for the rest of the season. And that's before we even had the conversation about Thiago Alcantara, who of course is now back training. You've seen the footage, I'm sure, looks quite sharp, scored some good goals in training, certainly has full movement. Where does he come into it? How does he play a part between now and the end of the campaign? Because on one hand, you've got the experience, the ability. On the other hand, though, you've got players who might feel, well, hang on, I've done nothing wrong. I've been a part of the team that's got us to the top of the league and won the Europa League group and progressed in all competitions. So is it undermining those other players if Thiago comes straight back into the team and his contract is up in the summer? These are things that I'm glad I don't have to decide, but they're issues that I think we're going to see between now and the end of the campaign. But they're good headaches. It's a lot better than sitting here talking about having no options in any of these positions. And the last part for me on Mohamed Salah, I'd love to see him given an opportunity through the middle at some point before the end of the campaign. I just feel in this role that he plays now, he's too isolated out on the right at times. He's too far away from goal and he has to try and play his way in. Whereas if he's through the centre, it's up to us then to get the ball to him. And him and Diogo Jota, in my opinion, are our two most natural finishers. So it's now over to you. What would you do with Mohamed Salah when he comes back? Does he come straight back into the team as soon as he's available, or do you ease him in week by week? Same with Conor Bradley and Joe Gomez. What do you do with those guys ahead of the Arsenal game? And who do you expect to start? And the final question that I asked you guys and would love to know your thoughts on, of course, is Alexis McAllister versus Wataru Endo. Who starts when they're both back available after the Asia Cup? Big headaches, but good headaches, and hopefully headaches that lead to Liverpool having a trophy haul this season. So, I will see you guys tomorrow. Looking forward to reading your comments. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.